Welcome to Everything CPA and Private Equity, where we unpack the evolving relationship between accounting firms, private equity, and other strategics. I'm David Wolfskehl, a partner at Whitman Transition Advisors.
And I'm Phil Whitman, CEO of Whitman Transition Advisors. And we've chatted with more than 150 private equity groups. We've actually closed over 40 transactions with those private equity groups. And we're bringing you firsthand insights from the front lines.
And whether you're exploring your first deal, putting your toe in the water, refining your strategy, we're here to guide you with real stories, expert advice, actionable takeaways. Let's dive in. Welcome, everybody. So excited for another episode of Everything CPA and Private Equity. Today, we're going to talk about the 12 deals we've done in the last 60 days, what the different sizes might be, what are some of those key characteristics to get to deals to the finish line, and what some of those barriers to getting them to the finish line. We're also going to talk a little bit about valuations because, you can say algorithms can tell you, you can tell me that historic factors, what we're finding is every month might be different valuations, and every firm is so different in every PE firm that it's hard just to give you a math problem, to give you a valuation. Almost always, it's part of a conversation that gets you to the right valuation. As most of our listeners are leaders of their firms, like to start with a quote to get you into that leadership mindset. And this is from John Maxwell, who we love. A leader is one who knows the ways, goes the way, and shows the way. And I really think it's important as a leader that we show our team, we show our people the way. And if you're not behaving in that way, your team's not going to follow you. So, Phil, let's talk about, welcome, first of all. And why don't we talk a little bit about, the size of deals that we've done over the last 60 days. Let's give some perception there.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because as we predicted going back almost 3 years ago, this is not only for the largest of CPA firms. I mean, everyone knows about the Eisner Ampers and the Citron Coopermans and the Cherry Beckerts, but what they don't know about are the small, $1.8 million firms and $1.2 million firms that are having the good fortune of, hey, no change in firm name, no change in firm leadership, no change in firm culture. Just keep doing what you're doing, take some chips off the table, but you got the backing, a nice capital stack behind you to hire talent, to add technology, and to do acquisitions so that you could continue to grow your firm. So on the smaller end, we've done, as mentioned, 1.5 million. We are working on something right now that's 1.2 million. And what I can tell you, just based upon the conversations I've had with new entrants in the marketplace, new strategic investors, there are folks now that are even looking at firms that are sub $1 million in gross revenues. And this is very exciting. So if you're a sole owner or sole practitioner, there really are opportunities for you as long as you're willing to provide for a decent transition. I mean, you can't say I'm selling my practice and I want out of here in 30 days or in a year. You got to give at least 2 to 3 years. So if you're thinking about taking real chips off the table, don't wait until you're a year away because your valuation is going to be much lower. Now, on the higher end, so we've done transactions with the large firms. Obviously, those were tuck-in transactions, but I want to say the largest transaction we've done in the past 60 days was a firm that was approaching 40 million in annual revenues. 40 million in annual revenues. Not a small firm. And the beautiful thing about this organization is, again, I'm not merging up into a larger firm. I'm not being gobbled up. I'm being provided the opportunity to take significant chips off the table and just keep doing what I'm doing. And for everyone in the firm, here's the one big change: close a deal today, tomorrow, you got a much fatter bank account. Okay. It really, for the leadership in the firm, where they have a new partner that's sitting at the round table, helping to make decisions, providing input, but pretty much the day to day, it's business as usual.
So, Phil, we talked about firms as small as a million, firms as large as 40 million. All have taken PE, and we can put PE in quotes because we know there's lots of different definitions of that. But these are all firms that have taken PE money. Is that correct?
Yes, uh, I like to say strategic investors, private equity, whether it be family offices or wealth management groups, foreign pension funds. I mean, there's just so many strategic investors that have found the accounting profession to be such a tremendous and trustworthy business to partner with. And I've been saying, and you will probably hear me say it every time we chat about private equity in the industry, is now that Citrin Cooperman has achieved their first turn and is now partnered with Blackstone, we are going to continue to see private equity groups and other strategic investors saying, if Blackstone's in it, we certainly ought to consider getting into it. And as you know, because you flip some of those introductions to me, there's not a day that goes by in the 5 days a week that we work that we're not meeting with at least one, if not more, new strategic investor and trying to determine whether or not their thesis is one that's going to provide them with success in the space.
And Phil, we talked about doing 12 deals. That's not with one strategic, correct? So why don't you
Oh,
also share a little bit about that? Because, the clients, the sellers, they have wants and needs and expectations. And the buyers, the PE firms are all different. So why don't you share how many different PE firms that we've closed transactions in the last 60 days?
yeah. So, first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a number, and that number is of the 12 transactions, it was with 8 different strategic investors, private equity. And the thing that I would tell you is um, many firms that begin going down the path of private equity, um, they receive a cold call from one of these groups, a new PE group that perhaps is doing their own outreach. And what I can tell you is, um, while you might like the people that you're on the phone with, I continue to say this is like Baskin Robbins, 31 or more different flavors. And there are so many moving parts to this that you really owe it to yourself to explore, because top your rollover equity in top co versus the local co, and long holders and short holders, and it's do you keep your balance sheet, do you not keep your balance sheet, is there an earnout, is there not an earnout, and there are just so many things that you can't just go by, oh, I'm getting a multiple of 8.
So it's not just about the multiple?
No, although that's the first question everyone asks is, what sort of multiple do you think I can get? I think I'm going to start answering that question by saying, well, what kind of multiple do you want? And why? And why should someone pay you that multiple? I mean, the reality is the this is not as simple as it was 3.5 years ago, when if you were a $5 million firm, if you got 1 times gross revenue, that was considered a decent deal. And if you were really exceptional, maybe you got 1.15 or 1.2 at the maximum. There are just so many things. But what we have seen is in some of these transactions, what I can tell you, at the end of the transaction, there are firms that have achieved a multiple of 2 times gross revenue, some with 2.5, and others, once they achieve the earnout, they will ultimately end up with almost 3 times gross revenue. Now, it's a certain type of firm that gets that. Not every firm gets that.
Right.
I'm not
And
going to
let's be
say that.
clear.
Don't
Not
lock in
every
on that.
firm is going to get that, because we also see some firms getting a 1.25 of gross revenue, or 1.5, which is still 50% more than they would have gotten 5 years ago. So it's still a good day, just not as immense.
And typically it's 40 to 50% cash up front. In some cases lower, and in some cases, as you may have heard, managing director Terry Putney say, we're working with a couple where cash up front could be as high as 80% of the total enterprise value. So, I mean, our profession has been one that has created more millionaires next door than perhaps any other profession. And what I can tell you is, with private equity and other strategics coming into our profession, there's a multiplier effect on that. I mean, there are grand slams being hit. And David, one of the things that I think is important to share, I do probably by now 30 to 35 monthly calls with managing partners from firms of all sizes. And we
And
work on
probably 10 calls with private equity firms too, at least on a monthly basis too.
Absolutely, regularly scheduled. And we are working very, very closely with firms, with PE groups. And one of the things that I can tell you in speaking with the managing partners, it's never all about, oh, you need to consider this, that, or the other thing. It's really just talking about strategy. How can we help your firm grow? What can we be doing? Oh, do you know about X, Y, Z, A, B, and C? And the reality is sometimes we'll just say, um, you know, with everything that's going on, you owe it to yourself as managing partner of your firm to be able to provide your partner group with answers that you've developed firsthand, not hearsay, from taking meetings with some of these strategic investors. You need to be in the know. And I will tell you, of the 12 transactions that we did, there are at least 3 firms that when we met with them, they said, private equity is not for us. We are very, very strong. Our plan is to remain independent. And believe it or not, those firms absolutely could have remained independent. But after exploring, and exploring doesn't mean meeting with one, but getting a lay of the land, one of these managing partners came back to me and he said, Phil, the offer was the proverbial offer that I could not refuse. It was almost too good to be true. And group voted unanimously to move forward with a transaction. So, I mean, never say never. And I always say everyone has their price, but this is a good thing that's going on. I do a lot of reading, and some people are saying, oh, this is a bubble. This is not a bubble. As chair of the Accounting Today Private Equity Conference, I've spoken to over 175 now. At the conference, I think I said it was in the 140s or approaching 150, and that was back in November. What I can tell you is they're here to stay. They see something absolutely enticing, exciting, a reasonable valuation from a point of entry perspective with significant upside. And upside for them means upside for you.
Yes, and Blackstone didn't make a small bet on this industry. They made at least in my world, a large bet when you have B's in front of the valuation. So when you're talking billions. So, Phil, one of the things for our audience too, right? Phil continues, and it's mainly Phil, to meet with new strategics because, again, we want to bring value to the sellers. And we want to know who's the right solution for the right people that are going to help you get your goals. And just taking one phone call oftentimes isn't really an exploration of the market. So if your firm is looking to get any kind of valuation or any idea of what your firm is worth, we're always happy to have a conversation with you. And again, our conversations are based on what we see every single day. And we did 12 deals in the last 60 days. And my gut says, looking at our pipeline, we might do 12 deals in the next 60 days as well. So if you're looking to have a conversation with your leadership team, we're here to share our insights, our knowledge of what's going on today based on the players that are going on today. So this is David Wolf. Phil?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing because, as a CPA myself and a top 100 most influential person in accounting, named by Accounting Today for 3 years running, what I can tell you is I talk with a lot of CPAs every single day, and I talk about a lot of different things with CPAs. So the one thing I know is a question that we're always getting is, so what am I going to have to pay to engage you to help me with this?
Okay.
And the 12 folks that we've done these transactions with, it's going to cost them a celebration dinner, and that's it. We work based upon success, and our success fee is typically paid by the larger organization. So if you're worried that you're going to have to put forth a gigantic retainer to have a conversation with us, scratch that. Love talking to CPAs. And even if this is not a topic of interest to you, our talent solutions team is tremendously robust. We're helping so many firms with talent here, onshore, talent offshore, talent through technologies. We also have our profits team, which if you are thinking about doing a transaction with private equity, we can help you prepare for that. And you've heard in the past from Dave Kells, who leads our profits team, former COO of Citron Cooperman. And one of the things that Dave can do is help you magically turn $1 into multiple dollars by helping you tweak those levers that are going to get you a more significant valuation when you ultimately do have these conversations. I just wanted to share that, David.
And I think that's a great point. Terry talked about that. Probably only 50% of the firms out there are going to like or be attractive to private equity. And increasing the bottom line is a way to make you more attractive, increase your enterprise value. And even if you want to remain independent, and in our model, that's fine, increase what you make every single day. So for Phil and David, want to thank everybody for listening. We're here to help, whether you want to remain independent or explore this. We're about giving you insights and our experience. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into Everything CPA and Private Equity. Every episode brings fresh insight,
However, there's always more to talk about.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you watch podcasts. Have a question or topic you'd like us to cover? We'd love for you to reach out to us.
Together, we will help you navigate this dynamic landscape so that we can help you achieve your goals. Until next time, keep making moves that matter.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.